Is Jeffrey Vincent in the house? I hope he is. Otherwise, this is going to be a really short presentation.
Over here.
There he is. Come on up. Jeffrey Vincent is the executive director for the FAA's UAS integration in the NAS, National Airspace. And so he's a really key guy for us. And actually, I think it was Andrew or Tavine or somebody, you were the first choice. They said, can you get you exactly, and I didn't know it was you, but your job description is what they gave me. Can you get the man that is in charge of UAS integration? And I said, I don't know. I'm sure he's a really busy and important guy. But we'll certainly beg and plead and do everything we can. And fortunately, you were kind enough to come join us, and we appreciate it very much. We actually started this whole UAS endeavor back in 2005. So there's 18 years we've been at it. And one of the challenges we've had right from the start is that, of course, FAA's job is to make sure that the national airspace is always safe. So they take a very, diligent, careful approach to anything that's flying up there in our airspace. And so we saw the military moving ahead with unmanned aviation, and obviously we're a big part of that, both with our Guard and with the Grand Forks Air Force Base. And we said, hey, let's make that push into the civilian space. And this was back in 2005. And so we talked to FAA about doing that, and they were very hands-off. It was like, well, wait a minute, if there's no unmanned aircraft up there flying around, we're pretty sure nobody can run into one. But once we start putting them up there, boy, the game really changed, right? And so we've worked very carefully with FAA now for 18 years. In 2011, I worked on legislation that set up the test sites, and of course we got the first test site and the best, by the way, the Northern Plains test site. And we're taking Jeffrey up there today. George and I and Jeffrey are going up today because we're going to be there today, and then we'll have more to talk about up in Grand Forks tomorrow. But this relationship has really developed between not just the Northern Plains test site, but Grand Sky, everything we're doing up there, CBP, so many partners that really we have a place now, in terms of unmanned aviation like no other in the country. And that means hardly a day goes by when we aren't asking FAA for something that we want to do in the NAS, in the national airspace, almost every day. I mean, that's a bit of an exaggeration, but more and more it's becoming true. So we have to have a relationship with FAA where they trust us, where they see that we have the skills, the technology, and the capability to do this safely, professionally, and well, and that if they give us a certificate of authorization to do it, because we're almost invariably the first in the country that's doing it. And they need to know if they give us that COA that, by golly, there's not going to be a problem. Because their job is to make sure there's not a problem, right? That's confidence, that's a relationship we've built up over 18 years, and other places do not have. So when we ask for stuff, we're able to get it. I'll give you a good example. Just recently, General Atomics started training, in this case, I think it was their Italian pilots. When we were up there recently, they had a bunch of British pilots they were training up there. But they needed approvals to train Italian pilots. And we've got the beyond visual line of sight and a number of these things which Jeffrey will talk about. But what they didn't have was, when they went to land the unmanned aircraft, they needed to have a pilot actually landing the aircraft, right? But General Atomics said, well, that's great, so we can train the pilot to do all these things except land the aircraft. Now, I'm not a pilot, but I have ridden in a few airplanes, and it seems like landing the thing is important. When you're training somebody, you just soon train them how to land it. Anyway, I thought it was kind of important. So they called our office and said, hey, we got, like I said, I think it was the Italians coming in, and we haven't gotten this authority for them to actually And it may not have been a problem with the Brits, because I think they could do that at home, but where we actually let the Italian pilots land the aircraft because they don't already all have pilot certification. Maybe that was the issue. Maybe the Brits already had pilot certification, just not unmanned in the RQ-9 aircraft, MQ-9 aircraft. So FAA says, well, geez, that's going to be 6 weeks before we can approve it. And GA saying, well, they're here. They're starting next week. 6 weeks from now doesn't do us any good. So we got a hold of FAA and said, is there a way? And they said, geez, we don't think there is. You got the rulemaking process and this and that, and right? And sure enough, within a week, they called back and said, yeah, we've figured out a way for you to do this. And it wasn't just that they had the legal basis to do it. They'd work with their lawyers and they'd figured out a way to do it. They had the confidence in Grand Sky and in the Northern Place Test Center and in General Atomics because we've been doing this stuff. It's an 18-year overnight success. That's what it takes. We didn't just show up and say, hey, trust us, it'll work. And that's why it's so important that we have this relationship and that we are able to work with professionals like Jeffrey Vincent, and we're so pleased he's here at Autonomous Nation. Director Vincent, thank you.
Thank you, Senator, for
The floor is yours.
a very gracious and kind introduction this morning. Good morning, everyone. It's a pleasure to be with all of you today to explore the evolution of the autonomous industry in the state of North Dakota. This conference brings together industry stakeholders, state universities, and government officials at the federal, state, and local levels to shape the future of the autonomous industry. We are all here to support the continued advancement of safe skies, collaboration, and engagement through research investment and policy development. In the UAS Integration Office, our daily actions are laser focused on executing the mission of safely and efficiently leading the integration of drones into the national airspace system. That mission is defined by what did you do today to enable a drone to safely operate in the NAS today? Not tomorrow, not 2025, but today. The mission of safely integrating autonomous aircraft into the NAS is our first priority. Drones provide safety, social, and economic benefits, such as life-saving medical services, improved emergency services, aerial surveillance and inspection, agricultural operations, delivery services, and so much more. Drones have and will continue to transform lives and improve the well-being of local communities. As the host of this event, Grand Farm also shares the passion to transform lives, driven by a mission of enabling technology to feed the world. North Dakota in general is cultivating an environment where drones are not only accepted, but appreciated. This work cannot take place in a vacuum. North Dakota understands that change cannot happen without collaboration between industry and government, which is why we are here today. We are not here to make drones and the autonomous industry wait. We are here to drive and shape the future today. The FAA is dedicated to the safe integration of drones and autonomous technology into the NAS, and we cannot do that without the help of the stakeholder. There's a lot of work related to drones and autonomous flight that takes place across almost all parts of the FAA and organizations within the FAA. And a single access point for stakeholders is vital to ensure that the appropriate cross-functional collaboration takes place. We're working with our internal and external stakeholders to ensure that those conversations take place to inform decision-making and enable autonomous operations in a safe and scalable manner. We participate in opportunities like this one to foster communication, strengthen collaboration, and grow our perspectives to enable the path forward. From an integration perspective, the Autonomous Nation Conference is especially important because it brings together three very important priorities: UAS research, innovative technologies, and policy to ensure that drones and autonomous aircraft operate safely. The FAA recognizes the significant investments and innovations North Dakota has made to the evolution of aviation and the autonomous industry. North Dakota is a leader in advancing drone technology, has an active UAS industry, and has forward-thinking policies aimed at fostering innovation and integration. To quote the Honorable Senator Hoeven, North Dakota is not only a world leader in agriculture, but is quickly establishing a strong foothold in the next generation of precision agricultural technologies through initiatives like Grand Farms. North Dakota is home to the Northern Plains UAS test site, which is one of 7 FAA-designated UAS test sites and a key partner to the Department of Transportation. The test site has made numerous contributions to validating and improving that drones and autonomous flight can safely integrate into the NAS. Earlier this year, the test site received the Section 44803 Charlie waiver that will transform the field of drone research and development by making it easier and more efficient to conduct operations. The test site is also a lead partner in the FAA's Beyond program, advancing beyond visual line of sight or BVLOS operations. In addition, the University of North Dakota is one of the core partners in the FAA's Center of Excellence for UAS Research. These local connections help this area serve as a strong proving ground to collect key information for the FAA and cutting-edge UAS operations. Over time, the lessons learned can be applied more broadly across the national airspace. We are entering a new era of aviation and technology, and we must accelerate to meet the demand. FAA is working to improve certification pathways for UAS and establish efficient approval processes. This approach will speed up innovation and development of these systems, keeping North Dakota and the U.S. competitive in the fast-evolving drone technology sector. Speaking of acceleration, the FAA has streamlined the certification process for Part 137 agricultural drone operations. Under the new process, operators can receive their certification in days as opposed to months or even years. Part 137 operations are amongst the most common exemptions because they are low risk and in rural or sparsely populated areas. Since June, the FAA has issued roughly 555 Part 137 agricultural operational exemptions. FAA has also issued 750 FAA-initiated amendments to those holding current exemptions, along with an updated set of conditions and limitations. On July 20th, the FAA granted PICA approval to fly its Pelican Spray aircraft for agricultural operations. Weighing over 1,000 pounds, it is the largest drone ever to receive FAA authorization for commercial flights in the United States. This is a huge milestone for farmers, the drone community, and the FAA. It is also a big step in terms of public acceptance. Although advances in drone technologies and increase in drone numbers pose new challenges and risks, safety remains paramount for the agency. Further enabling routine, scalable, affordable, and sustainable BVLOS operations remain a top priority. The FAA and industry have been working together for years to enable drone operations to use waivers and exemptions to ensure safe operations. However, this way of doing business is neither scalable nor sustainable. FAA has also taken a more forward-leaning operations-first approach with requests to BVLOS drone operations. In May of this year, the FAA published notices in the Federal Register seeking public input on BVLOS operations involving detect and avoid standards, well-clear boundaries, third-party services, and strategic deconfliction. Our goal is to create a regulatory framework where operators can expand operations, maintain the expected level of safety, and reduce the burden of the regulatory process by normalizing BVLOS operations. FAA received hundreds of comments that will help balance the safety of the NAS with the desires of the public. Thank you to those who provided comments to those proposed exemptions. Your feedback and insights are valuable and will impact future BVLOS operations and rulemaking. I am pleased to announce that the first of those exemptions was signed and issued to Phoenix Air Unmanned on August 24th. It is FAA's goal to template exemptions so that approvals will be streamlined for operators seeking to conduct similar operations at similar risk levels. Progress in this space will ignite investments into the drone industry, including manufacturing and workforce development in the United States. BVLOS goes hand in hand with UAS traffic management, or UTM. UTM will enable BVLOS drone operations to be conducted where air traffic services are not provided below 400 feet. Its services will help manage flights and mitigate risk in ways that aren't achievable or cost-effective for each operator to do by themselves. We have identified Dallas, Texas for the UTM operational evaluation to demonstrate that UTM is safe and effective, to build public acceptance, influence future policy, and scale for future operations. However, this is just the beginning. The UTM operational evaluation in Dallas will be focused on strategic deconfliction, but we must start to plan now for integrated tactical deconfliction, detect and avoid, and ground-based surveillance. In fact, last week, FAA signed an MOU with North Dakota as part of the near-term approval process as this advanced system as a third-party service provider for UTM in low-risk areas. The FAA is dedicated to safely integrating drones into the NAS and enabling technology advancements that continue to lay the foundation for more complex operations. Safety, collaboration, and engagement are all drivers as to why we're here today. Research serves as a guiding light to ensure we integrate and operate drones safely now and into the future. FAA is looking forward to the continued work of North Dakota, Grand Farms, the Northern Plains UAS test sites and their partners, and everyone here today to advance the integration of drones and autonomous technology in North Dakota. Thank you.